Good morning, all. Today we will study together the second lesson in the first 7 years by Bernard Malamud. In this notes, we are going to discuss the most important parts of the literary analysis. Background information: we know that the author is Bernard Malamud, and he lived from 1914 to 1986. He is known for writing stories about characters redeemed by love. He wrote short stories and several novels. The National Book Award, he received the National Book Award in 1959, and he got the Pulitzer Prize in 1966. Okay. The story is set in New York City, and we know that from last time, and it's in the 1950s. It tells us about European Jewish immigrant community, a strong patriarchal family structure, arranged marriages, emphasis on education, and generational advancement. This, of course, clear when we saw how the father wanted so much his daughter to study and to be married to a person who studied in university. In the concepts we have here in the point of view, it's a third person limited. It uses the third person pronouns he and she and it, but it's limited to the thoughts of only one character. The theme, it's true love. True love is self-sacrificing and enduring through time. It has also an allusion, which is reference. An allusion, here we will find in this story that it alludes to a more popular text. This story is a biblical allusion to Jacob and Rachel. So it refers or it alludes to the Bible, which is the holy book for the Christians and also the Jewish. The characterization here, the main characters, we have Field, the protagonist or the main character, a Polish immigrant who owns a shoe repair shop. Miriam Fields, which is the daughter, 19-year-old daughter, who chooses to work rather than to go to college, loves to read and discuss literature. Sobel, the antagonist or the bad guy in the story, he's 35 years old, Polish refugee, and Phil's assistant for 5 years. Max, the college boy, Phil wants Miriam to date him, but Miriam rejects him. Okay. The characterization also will tell us about the minor characters. The last slide, it was the main characters. Now the minor characters, Phil's wife, and she doesn't have a very important role in the story. Phil's new assistant, which turned out to be a thief. The definition of the protagonist. The main character, usually the character who sets the action of the story in motion, the one the reader focuses his or her attention on. Sometimes admirable, doesn't have to be likable. Rarely all good. Real complicated human being with identifiable strengths and weaknesses. The action of the story is based on the protagonist setting out to get something he or she wants. Of course, in our story, we said that the protagonist is Field. What about the antagonist, the character or the force that comes into conflict with the protagonist? Rarely all bad. Okay, but mostly bad. The plot structure, we have here exposition, exposes the reader to the characters and setting, the conflict, the problem, the internal conflict, a problem within the character, internal external conflict, problem as a result of something outside the character, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, resolution. We explain all this. For our story, exposes the setting, the snow Polish village, February, exposed the character Field the shoemaker, Sobel his helper, Max the college boy, Miriam Phil's daughter. In the conflict, their wants. Field wants, for example, Max and Miriam to marry each other. Sobel wants to marry Miriam. Miriam wants her independence. What blocks their wants? Max and Miriam don't like each other, and Field doesn't want Miriam to marry Sobel. In the rising action, we find that Field talks to Max about Miriam. Sobel storms out of the shop. Miriam doesn't enjoy Max's company while on their dates. The new assistant steals from Field, and Field has a mild heart attack. In the climax, we see Field seeks Sobel to return to work again, and in the following action, Field finds out that Sobel is in love with Miriam, and that is the only reason he has worked for him for as long as he did. In the resolution, Field agrees to allow Sobel to marry Miriam, and he just has to wait 2 more years to propose. Sobel goes back to work as Field's assistant. Okay, if we try to hold a comparison between Sobel and Field and Max, we will find that Sobel is older, no respect for Field, no formal education, work focused, genuine relationship with Miriam, poor, desires something from Miriam, lives in a Jewish community, goal oriented, loves to learn. What about Max? He is younger, Field respects him, formally educated, intellectually focused, superficial, interested in Miriam. Okay, loves as a theme for the story. We find that love here, it's parental love, kinds of love that we see, the parental love, which means the love of parents to the daughter or to the son. Romantic, it's silent, sacrificial, which means that we see that people are sacrificing for each other. Philosophical, it has a philosophy behind the events of the story. It's love of wisdom. Focus question. What do you think about Max's request for a picture of Miriam? It means that he loves her. Which man is the protagonist? Field. And why? Because he's the main character around whom all the events are revolving. Compare Sobel to the new assistant. Sobel was an honest man. He didn't steal any money. He was very loyal to Field, but the new assistant turned to be a thief. Did Sobel make the right decision to work an additional 2 years? I don't think so. He made this decision because he loves Miriam, and so he wanted to stay near her. Okay, these are some vocabulary illustration you can study well. They are related to the story. Okay, you will find the synonyms and the antonyms, descriptive and also related action. Okay, we stop here for now, and we will discuss some questions later.